Up on the Rockbridge Report. Rockbridge residents will soon have more options to where to grab their next cup of coffee or where their friends can stay. We'll tell you all about the new businesses coming to town. Thinking of a career as a police officer? The Lexington Police Department is looking for you in the midst of the nationwide staffing shortages. And Chas Chapel will join us later with our local weather weekend forecast. All that and more coming right up on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Jenny Helwig.
And I'm Caitlin Tompkins.
Grand Home Furnishings in downtown Lexington is closing its doors, expected November 5th. A company spokesperson said Grand is working on a new site but did not offer further details on the location. The city of Lexington will continue to receive real estate tax on the property while it is vacant. Local officials are not aware of any plans for the vacant building on Main Street. Read Carly Snyder's full story on our website. While some businesses are closing, others are opening. 3 new franchise businesses are coming to Rockbridge County. These include a True by Hilton, a Starbucks, and a Dunkin' Donuts. Tyler Policia reports.
A Starbucks, a Dunkin', and a True by Hilton might soon be coming to the US 11 corridor north of Lexington. The projects made local headlines earlier this year, and now they are closer than ever to becoming a reality. Starbucks plans to set up in a former bank building in the College Square shopping center. Workers have already broken ground on the project to build the 4-story, 90-room True by Hilton off Lee Highway behind Patrick Blevins State Farm. Dunkin' plans to move in between Patrick Blevins State Farm and Motel 6. The Tourism Corridor Overlay Board has approved all 3 plans, but Starbucks and the True Hotel are still applying for building permits. Chris Slayton, director of the Office of Community Development, says the county supports these projects because they will draw people off the interstate.
50,000 to 60,000 people traveling up and down 81 is also a big economic engine.
The Dunkin' and the Starbucks will each be franchises. The owner of the former will be Atul Patel. The owner of the latter is unknown. Umesh Gandhi, who owns 2 other hotels in the area, will own the True by Hilton.
They'll get sales tax, they'll get lodging tax, obviously, from the True, and then they'll also get meals tax.
It is still unclear when construction will begin on the Starbucks and Dunkin', or when the projects will be finished.
The True is hoping to be under roof and open by 2023. We do not have an exact date. And the same goes for the other 2 projects.
When Dunkin' and Starbucks arrive, many W&L students say they will likely stick to campus dining services or shops in town for their coffee and pastry needs.
When it comes to tea, I think I'm going to stay in Lex. I'm not really drawn to Starbucks usually.
Chris Slayton says that once the building permits are issued, they will be good for 6 months. Lexington Mayor Frank Friedman says that he looks forward to the completion of these projects because he believes that they will bring people into Lexington. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Tyler Policia.
A Buena Vista firefighter is recovering after being injured fighting a fire on Boyden Road in Lexington late Tuesday night. Steph Chigaluri is live at the scene of the blaze right now. Steph?
Lexington firefighters, along with 3 other local departments, arrived at 543 Boyden Road at about 10:15 p.m. Tuesday night. Lexington Fire Department Chief Ty Dickerson said firefighters extinguished the blaze in 30 minutes, but firefighters remained on the scene until 2 a.m. to make sure all hot spots were put out. One firefighter from Buena Vista went to the hospital after his foot and leg went through a hole in the floor. He was released Wednesday morning after suffering a pulled muscle. Firefighters sifted through the debris and determined the cause was faulty electrical wiring. The house was not insured and has been vacant for about 30 years. No word on what the plans for the property are now. Reporting live from Boyden Road, Steph Chigalori for the Rockbridge Report.
Election day is approaching in Virginia, and many are expecting Republican Ben Cline to defeat Democrat Jennifer Lewis in the 6th district race for the House of Representatives. Cline and Lewis emphasize different issues that are relevant across the nation. Recent polls suggest the Republicans could gain the majority of House seats. Visit www.rockbridgereport.com to read Adam Lamberti's full preview of the race. Local candidates for office faced off at a forum hosted by the Lexington Rockbridge Chamber of Commerce on Tuesday. The headliners for the night were the 2 candidates for Virginia's 6th House District race, incumbent Republican Rep. Ben Cline and his Democratic opponent, Jennifer Lewis. And the 4 candidates running for Lexington City Council presented their views on local issues. This is the last public forum candidates will participate in before Election Day on November 8th.
Gunmen attacked a major Shiite holy site in Iran on yesterday, killing at least 15 people and wounding dozens. The attack came as protesters elsewhere in Iran marked the symbolic 40 days since the in-custody death of Mahsa Amini ignited the biggest anti-government movement in over a decade. State TV blamed the attack on takfiris, a term that refers to Sunni Muslim extremists who have targeted the country's Shiite majority in the past. The attack appeared to be unrelated to the demonstrations, but Iran's supreme leader and its president are trying to connect the two.
In London, the British government's new leader faced a grilling from lawmakers during his first Prime Minister's questions in Parliament on his first full day in office. Rishi Sunak quickly got to work filling out his cabinet on Tuesday, as he prepares to tackle the country's economic and political turmoil caused by Liz Truss. But Sunak's appointments raised some eyebrows, especially from the leaders of the UK Labour Party.
Even his own side know he's not on the side of working people. That's why the only time he ran in a competitive election, he got trounced by the former Prime Minister, who herself got beaten by a lettuce. So why doesn't he put it to the test, let working people have their say, and call a general election?
But Sunak did not give in to the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about mandates, about votes, about elections. It's a bit rich coming from the person who tried to overturn the biggest democratic vote in our country's history. Our mandate is based on a manifesto that we were elected on, to remind him an election that we won and they lost.
Sunak promises to restore economic stability after his predecessor's tax plans triggered market tumult. He has appointed a government that mixes allies with experienced ministers from the administrations of his two immediate predecessors, Truss and Boris Johnson.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, two perspectives on whether Lexington voters will get to decide who sits on their city school board in the upcoming elections. Lily Mott has both sides.
And later on, we'll tell you what Halloween festivities you can expect in downtown Lexington and the surrounding area.
We've enjoyed sunny weather all week, but will it continue into the weekend? My 5-day forecast coming up.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Jenny Helwig.
And I'm Caitlin Tompkins. The fate of the last Confederate statue located in Virginia's capital city has been decided, and it will have to come down. The statue of General A.P. Hill is the last Confederate monument in Richmond. It's been standing since 1891. A lawsuit was filed by Hill's descendants. Because the general's remains are buried underneath the statue, they argued it should be considered a grave marker in their property. The city countered, saying it is the sole owner, and it wants to remove and relocate the statue to the Black History Museum, just like the other Confederate monuments that have been removed in Richmond. A judge ultimately ruled in favor of the city. The statue will be taken down and relocated, along with the remains.
Police departments have faced shortages nationally over recent years, so officers are in high demand. Virginia has followed this trend, and while departments have shrunk, crime has surged in larger cities. The Washington Post reports that Governor Glenn Youngkin recently said he plans to request $30 million from legislature to recruit police from other states. Steph Gigalori reports on what the city is doing to combat shortages.
Police Chief Angela Green is working with the city manager and council to implement incentives to retain officers. The Lexington Police Department is short 3 officers, so she is reinvesting savings from unspent salaries on a $2,500 retention bonus for officers who stay on for 2 years, and providing sign-on bonuses of $5,000 for certified officers and $1,500 for recruits. The city may not face much violent crime, but Green said it's important to be prepared for the worst.
Say an active shooter incident happened and we don't have enough personnel to adequately respond to that. That starts equating to now more possible injuries than if we had the staffing that we need.
Although 3 officers short does not seem like a huge deficit in a city of 2.5 square miles, Hallis said the richness of the community does suffer.
We're so short that when we have a parade or we have an event downtown, almost all the officers are called back in for overtime.
I'm here downtown where I've gotten the chance to speak with Lexington residents. Some expressed concern with an increase in police, but others believe the more the merrier.
I think it'd be, more safer, and you feel more comfortable if you had a few more.
But when officers are working 30 weekends a year, holidays, and overtime at events, they can't respond to every call. Hal has said offering incentives to retain officers makes financial sense.
Do the math. If I can get one for $5,000, isn't that what the taxpayers want?
In Lexington, I'm Steph Chigalori for the Rockbridge Report.
The Lexington Police Department now has advertisements out on Google and a recruitment video. Green hopes these will draw in officers from elsewhere. Lexington City Attorney has entered a high-profile legal battle with a Rockbridge Circuit Court judge. The judge revoked Jared Jenkins' right to practice in the Circuit Court because of filings and emails he submitted attacking the judge's authorities and ethics. Jenkins has also been threatened with possible jail time for contempt of court. Jenkins filed an appeal to the State Court of Appeals that was dismissed last Wednesday. Read Shauna Muckle's complete story on our website.
On Election Day next month, Lexington voters will decide if they get to decide who sits on their city school board. Virginia became the last state to allow school board elections after a legacy of appointments to maintain segregation. Most Virginia school boards are now elected, but as Lily Moat reports, Lexington voters are split on current systems of appointed school board members.
I'm standing outside of Lexington City Hall, where Lexington voters will come to cast their ballots on November 8th. This year, voters will find the new school board referendum on their ballots. The referendum will decide if City Council will continue to appoint Lexington City School Board members, or if the voters will decide. The referendum was added to the ballot this year following concerns about the school board's handling of the pandemic.
It began as a group of parents who were concerned that whether it was issues about education, quality of the education at the high school or otherwise, or some of the COVID policies that were enacted, some inconsistencies, that parent voices were not being heard.
Lexington Mayor Frank Friedman says he does not see a problem with the current appointment method.
I feel like City Council's worked really hard to have men and women, people of color, and people with different backgrounds, folks with PhDs, folks with, as I like to say, RL PhDs, real life PhDs. And with that diversity and different backgrounds, you come up with a better circumstance for setting the policies and procedures, because every child is being looked out for.
Members of the Lexington City Council, including Vice Mayor Marilyn Alexander, are concerned about finding strong candidates to run in school board elections.
Anybody can step out there and try to be elected, and even if they're good or bad, if they're a bad candidate and they get one vote and nobody else is running, they get on the school board.
Lexington City is among the last appointed school boards in Virginia. The Buena Vista and Rockbridge County school boards are both elected.
In Buena Vista, the school board, the relations between the elected school board and the elected city council are downright toxic at best. They're horrible. On the other hand, in the county, the elected school board and the elected board of supervisors get along pretty darn well.
For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Lily Mott.
For more information about this year's ballot and how to vote on Election Day, visit lexingtonva.gov.
Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, Nigeria is witnessing its worst flooding in a decade, with hundreds of people killed and more than 1 million displaced. The latest coming up.
Age will not stop this woman from sewing jackets for her friends in Kendall, Lexington. Coming up.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Jenny Helwig.
And I'm Caitlin Tompkins. Weeks of devastating flooding are taking a heavy toll on Nigeria, killing hundreds and displacing more than 1 million people. Now, some worry the worst is yet to come, and many Nigerians say the government isn't doing nearly enough to help. CNN's Larry Madawal has more from Nigeria.
Our community is still submerged nearly a month after the flooding began, with no end in sight. Boats have become the only way to get around much of Bayelsa State in southern Nigeria. The streets have turned to rivers, driving entire communities away from their homes. Mama Obi takes us to what is left of her home. The water is still waist high.
So now suffer with the suffer.
We have really suffered, she says.
Help us.
Tell the government to help us.
I beg. Tell them make them come help us. Not be only me, people where they suffer plenty,
Everything you own is here under the water in this your house.
Yes, clothes, everything.
Some are living rough on the streets, washing with this water, cooking with it, and bathing in it.
Even though people's homes and businesses and livelihoods are already submerged, it's still raining, and there's more expected. The Nigerian government is warning this could go on through November, so even more of this.
This is Nigeria's worst flooding in a decade. Aniso Handy has remained in his house through it all.
Nigerians are used to managing. If not, we would have all died. We have not seen a situation where people are not cared for. But Nigerians care for themselves. We are just like infants that have no father, no mother.
The feeling of abandonment runs deep here. Victims are disappointed with the Nigerian government's response, which hasn't declared the flood a national emergency.
Wow, that's really terrible news coming out of Nigeria.
I know, it's really devastating. So, switching over a little bit to local weather, we've had some great temperatures over here in Rockbridge County. How much longer can we expect those to go on for, Chaz?
It is true, we've had a really great week, but we can't expect that to last too much longer. Let's take a look. Taking a look at this wonderful shot of Borden Road here in beautiful Lexington, Virginia, let's get into this week's weather. Taking a look at our current conditions, we can see that for the rest of the day, we'll have a high of 65 degrees with a low of 42 degrees, and the barometric pressure settling in at 30 and 22/100 inches with a wind speed at 7 miles per hour and humidity settling in at 28%. Taking a look at that radar, again, not much is happening. This past week has been really sunny, and it will continue to be sunny for the rest of today, but as I've said, rain and cloudiness are coming. Taking a look at our larger picture here in Southwest Virginia, we've got Lexington here, 65 degrees, as I've said. 10 minutes down the road in Buena Vista, 65 degrees and sunny. Stanton, 60 degrees, sunny. Charlottesville, 68 degrees, you guessed it, sunny. Sunny for the rest of our wonderful cities here. You see Lynchburg over there. And then over here we got Covington, 67 degrees and sunny. And last but not least, Roanoke, 66 degrees and sunny. Taking a look at our 5-day forecast, we can see Friday, we're finally seeing that cloud cover, unfortunately, coming over us with a high of 60 degrees and a low of 35 degrees. Next day, we're going to see the sun come out just a little bit, but not for too long, with a high of 61 degrees and a low of 42 degrees. Taking a look at Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we can see clouds coming back again, 61 degrees at a high and low of 38 degrees. And on Monday, sadly, Halloween, you're going to want to pack yourself an umbrella with that costume because there will be rain with a high of 63 degrees and a low of 49 degrees. And then Tuesday, finally, we're going to see a little bit more sun with a high of 69 and a low of 50. Jenny and Caitlin, back to you.
Thanks, Chaz. Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, Halloween is approaching. Stay with us to learn about the downtown festivities you can expect and all the opportunities to up your pumpkin carving game.
And Mackenzie Kane will tell us about the most recent triumphs of the Washington and Lee field hockey team.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Jenny Helwig.
And I'm Caitlin Tompkins. With Halloween right around the corner, businesses are already celebrating. Boxerwood Nature Center and Woodland Garden hosted a fundraiser at Great Valley Brewery this past Sunday ahead of their pumpkin walk. Events tomorrow and Saturday. Kids made witch brooms while a local band played live music at the fundraiser. Tomorrow and Saturday, people will be able to carve pumpkins, listen to spooky stories, and see the witch dance from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at Boxerwood. Downtown Lexington will be closing its streets for Halloween trick-or-treaters from 3:30 until 5:30 p.m. on October 31st. The Rockbridge Ballet and Hailstone Dance Studio will be providing live performances at Old Courthouse Square.
Over here at WNL, the women's sports teams have been dominating. We have the women's soccer team that's undefeated and the women's field hockey team that won yesterday. Can you tell us a little bit more about the sports happenings?
That's right, they've been fun to watch this week. The Washington Lee Generals field hockey squad defeated conference leader Shenandoah yesterday with a 5-2 victory. Going into the contest, Shenandoah was ranked 14th nationally and WNL was ranked 18th. Mackenzie Kane spoke with two of the players.
Good evening, Rockbridge. I'm here at Washington and Lee University outside the locker room where the Generals field hockey team has just defeated Shenandoah University with a score of 5-2. I'm joined here today by Freddie Tobiasen and Alexis Parks. First off, great game, ladies. Congratulations on the win. I know the team was off to a little bit of a slow start in the first half. We were just able to tie it up going into the second half, and then the team came back with this momentum and was able to score 3 additional goals to secure the win. Alexis, 2 of those goals were to your name. I have to ask, what was it that lit that fire in you that just inspired you to play how you did?
I think going into this game, we knew we had to win by 2, so it was just do anything you can to get it into the net.
And Freddie, you walk out of here today with a new title to your name. You have the new season record for assists. And I have to ask, what went right in this game, and how does it feel to have this victory?
Yeah, I think our team was playing really well together, and we had a really big focus this week on like passing the ball and stretching the field. So with that helping, like everyone was moving and cutting to the right spaces. It was just a matter of looking up and seeing my teammates in the right spots in front of the net. So just kind of trying to feed where I could and get the shots off where I could, and it worked out for us pretty well.
Great job, both of you. Congratulations, best of luck in the rest of the season. And signing off with the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mackenzie Kane.
Women's soccer is continuing to roll, still undefeated. The Generals tied Lynchburg yesterday 0-0 and are 12-0-5 right now. They host Ferrum Saturday at 1. Volleyball beat Bridgewater 3-0 and will play in the Emory Invitational this weekend in Atlanta. Men's soccer's 15-game unbeaten streak ended yesterday when the Generals lost to Guilford 3-0. They're home Saturday against the very same opponent for the ODAC quarterfinals. The VMI Cadets fell to Furman in football. VMI is looking for a turnaround Saturday at home against number 16 Mercer. VMI women's soccer lost to arch rival the Citadel 3-0 earlier this week. Men's soccer plays at Furman Saturday after its match last Tuesday was canceled. The SVU Knights field hockey team outlasted Meredith College to win in overtime 5-4. Knights football lost last week to Bellhaven 42-6, and they are looking for their first win of the season Saturday at home against Methodist. Knights women's soccer defeated Mary Baldwin 2-1, and they will close out the regular season Friday against Meredith College. In prep sports, Rockbridge County Volleyball blew out Broadway 3-0 and continue their good season. Wildcat football beat Broadway 21-14. RCHS plays Harrisonburg Friday at 7. And Perry McClure football will play at Bath County Friday at 7. The Fighting Blues lost to Covington 32-0 last week. That's a look at our local sports. Now back to you guys.
Thank you, John. And now, meet 100-year-old textile artist Nancy Epley. Last Saturday, more than 100 people celebrated Epley's work with an art show of her handmade jackets at Kendall Lexington. About 20 people wore jackets she made in years past. Epley said she just loves the feel and colors of fabric and will continue pursuing her passion. And that is all for today's Rockbridge Report. Stay up to date on more national and regional news by visiting rockbridgereport.wou.edu.
And join us again next Tuesday for our weekly news update.